Good evening, everyone. I'm Shivani Dhok, and I welcome you all for the week 8 session of uh, the tutorial for the week 8 session of the course of digital signal processing and its applications. Like every week, this week's content will also be divided into two parts. The first part will be recap of week 8 content, followed by the questions that are related to this week. Okay, so you can stop me at any point when you have queries. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask those queries. Don't wait till the end of the question. It will be good if you stop me then and there and ask me the questions. It will be beneficial for you also. Okay, so let's quickly start with the recap of week 8 content. So we continued with but little bit with Butterworth filter. We looked at how its transfer function looks and how its pole looks. So just for a quick recap, what I'll do this, I'll write it. So what we saw was for Butterworth low pass filter, so for a Butterworth filter low pass, the order is given by um, C log of d2 by d1 divided by 2 times log of omega s by omega p, and the cutoff frequency follows this relation. So we have omega p d to the power 1 by 2n less than or equal to omega c less than or equal to omega s upon, so this is t1, this is t2 to the power 1 by 2n. Any cutoff frequency between this range is allowed. You can't go outside this range. Any frequency within this range is allowed. The analog filter or analog low pass filter transfer function is given by omega c power n divided by pi to the pi of, or sorry, product of k running from 1 to n s minus sk, where this sk's, these are the poles of Butterworth filter. So we saw that these poles lie on a unit circle, of a circle of radius omega c, and these have sorry, and these take the following form. So this sk is equal to omega c into e power j 2 pi, sorry, 2k plus 1 plus n pi divided by 2n, where the values of these sk's that we are interested lie on the left half plane, to maintain the causality and stability, and therefore to maintain that we take k running from 1, 2 and so on till n. Okay, so this is all about Butterworth filter, Butterworth low pass filter. Another how to design other filters we looked at, but before that we first focused on the another class of filter which is known as Chebyshev filter. So this Chebyshev filter has ripples, and there are two parameters that define this Chebyshev filter. The first one is the epsilon, and this epsilon is less than or equal to under root d1, and the order is given by, or is greater than or equal to C log cos h inverse under root d2 by d1 divided by cos h inverse omega s by omega p. Okay, and we also saw how the transfer function of this Chebyshev filter look like, and we had a good discussion on this filter. So these are the two types of filters that we discussed in this week, and we'll be looking at only these two filters in this course for IIR filter design. Next important thing that we discussed was how to design a filter that is not low pass, that is either it is a high pass filter or band pass filter. Band stop filter we'll look in the next week. So we in this week we looked at high pass filter and band pass filter. So for a high pass filter we do an analog transform. So what we do is first we design a low pass filter and then do this analog transform to get our desired filter. So suppose SL is the S, or rather let's say we have S analog of SL as the analog low pass filter that we have designed, but we want to get high pass filter. So we'll get H analog, this is LP, high pass as S, which is equal to H analog LP with SL set as omega P by S. So for this what we do is we set omega S as minus omega P by omega, and for band pass filter what we do, we have S as, rather we set SL as S square minus omega naught square divided by BS. Okay, so this is what we do, and we'll see how to design these things in the coming class, coming questions. Let's not discuss these things right now, otherwise this will eat a lot of time in recap only. We have a lengthy questions this week. Still, if you have any questions at this point, feel free to ask. I'll be discussing the steps that are required to design any of these filters in a greater detail after we do the design question. For now, if you have any other questions, then please ask. Okay, if there are no questions, then let me move on to the first question that I have planned today. So these are also last year's assignment questions. So you can expect similar questions either in your assignment this year or in your final exam. Okay, so let's start with the first question. So first question says that suppose we are designing a discrete time low pass filter with following specifications. So the specifications that we have are, we have pass band edge as 4 kilohertz and the tolerance is 0.8 dB, and stop band edge is 4.5 kilohertz and we have an attenuation of 50 dB, and the sampling frequency is given as 22 kilohertz. Now what it says is, let h of omega denote the filter response if in pass band A less than or equal to magnitude of h of omega square less than or equal to B, find A and B. Okay, so now one thing to note here is we are given this as h of omega. So this is the transfer function of Fourier transform of discrete time filter. But we in a pass band we want to have the range of A and B. That will be exactly same as the range of our I'm sorry. Range of our analog filter. Okay, so it will be same. So now in pass band, ideally magnitude of h of omega square should be equal to 1, but which is equal to 0 dB. Okay, but we are allowing 0.8 dB tolerance, which means that 20 log magnitude of h of omega square can, 10 log can lie between 0.8 dB and minus 0.8 dB. Okay, so now I can write this as minus 0.8 less than or equal to 20 log magnitude of h of omega square less than or equal to 0.8. I can divide by 20 on both sides, on all the sides. So what we get, minus 0.8 divided by 20 less than or equal to log of magnitude of h of omega square less than or equal to 0.8 by 20. And this log is to the base 10, which is decibels. So it will be to the base 10. Now in order to get the linear value, what we need to do, we need to take 10 to the power whatever value you have on all the sides. So therefore 10 to the power minus 0.8 by 20, 10 to the power x is a monotonically increasing function. So inequalities will remain same. Magnitude of h of omega less than or equal to 10 to the power 0.8 by 20. So when now finding the value of these things directly is not possible, we'll again have to rely on calculators. So now if you use your calculators, what we get is 0.9120 less than or equal to magnitude of h of omega less than or equal to 1.0965. Okay, so this is our A and this is our B. Is it clear? Any questions? Okay, if you don't have any questions, let me move on to the next question. Okay, so now this says that find the passband edge and the transition band for the equivalent analog low pass filter. Okay, so now what is given to us is, let me take them down first. Let me write those specifications that are given to us. We are given, okay, first, okay, we are given first thing, passband edge which is 4 kilohertz. The next thing that is given to us is stop band edge Fs, that is 4.5 kilohertz. And the third thing that is given to us is sampling frequency. And the value of sampling frequency is given to us as 22 kilohertz. Okay, so now what is asked? We need to find first thing, first thing that we need to find is analog equivalent low pass passband edge and transition frequency, transition band. Okay. Now, why are we saying equivalent low pass? This is already a low pass filter, right? But why are we saying equivalent low pass, and why we are putting a stress that we need to find these things where we are already given these specifications? So one thing you keep in mind, we need to design a digital filter, and in a digital filter initially we are given specifications in the analog domain, and for this given specifications we need to design the filter that we want in we want a digital filter for these analog specifications. Now in order to do that, what we do, we first convert these analog specifications in our required digital frequencies, that is little omegas. But now when we do so, we are applying a non-linear transformation to that. Why? So the first step that we do in order to solve this question is get digital frequencies omega using omega equal to 2 pi f by fs. Okay, so this thing here is linear transform. Okay, but the bilinear transform which we will be using to get our final filter, what does it give? So, but bilinear transform gives omega equal to tan of little omega by 2. Now you now you look at these things here. This particular thing is our capital omega. 2 pi f is omega. Now, in reality, this omega is related in a linear fashion to capital omega. But my bilinear transform gives me omega as tan of omega by 2. So if we design directly our analog filter based on this given specifications, we may land up in some sort of issues, and this is known as pre-warping effect in digital filter design. So in order to avoid these things, what we do first, based on these specifications, we find the little omegas, and then using using this bilinear transform equation, we get back again another set of analog frequencies which we will be using to design our analog filter, which is equivalent, or which will give me an equivalent frequencies in the digital domain that we want. So in order to account for these non-linear functions, we are doing all sort of this business. So this is an important step and you can't skip. So please keep in mind this important thing. Okay. So that was just to explain you. So therefore, what we get is for pass band, we get omega p as 2 pi fp by fs, fsam, let fsam here for consistency of notations. So this is 2 pi, fp is 4 kilohertz divided by sampling frequency is 22 kilohertz. So what do we get here? We get 4 pi by 11. Okay, so this is 4 pi by 11. Now for stop band edge, little omega s is 2 pi fs by f sam. So therefore omega s is 2 pi. What is stop band edge? Stop band edge is 4.5 kilohertz. Divided by sampling frequency, we have seen it is 22 kilohertz. So what do we get now? We get 9 pi by 20. Okay, so now these are our normalized specifications. So what we got here? We got normalized specifications. Now once we get normalized specification, what do we do next? Step 2. So step 2 is applying bilinear transform. That is omega, let's say I'll write it as omega tilde as tan of little omega by 2. So therefore for pass band edge, omega tilde p is tan of omega p by 2, which is equal to tan of, what is our little omega p? Little omega p is 4 by 11. So this, when we solve, comes out to be equal to 0.6427 radians per second. And now for stop band edge, omega s tilde is, let me add a page, let's not write it on the same page. For stop band edge, omega tilde s is given by tan of little omega s by 2, which is equal to, what is our tan of omega s? 9 pi by 22. So now this is tan of 9 pi by 22 into 2. So this comes out to be equal to 0.7486 radians per second. Okay, all of these frequencies are in radians per second. I am not writing it, but they are in radians per second. Now what we have omega p tilde as 0.6427 radians per second and omega s tilde as 0.7486 radians per second. But okay, so this is our pass band edge. This is our stop band edge. But in question, what is asked? In question, we are asked the transition band. So how do we find this transition band? The transition band is the band of frequencies or the range of frequencies from which that makes a change from our pass band to stop band. So this transition band or transition bandwidth, we can also say, that will be given by omega s tilde minus omega p for a low pass filter. Okay, so this comes out to be equal to 0.7486 minus 0.6427 and this comes out to be equal to, when you use calculators, 0.1059 radians per second. Okay, so that's all for this question. If you have any queries, then please let me know. These are the crucial or initial steps for our filter designing. Any questions at this point? Okay, if there are no questions, then I'll move on to the next question. So this is the next question that we have. So this question says that any low pass analog Chebyshev filter with these three parameters, that is n, epsilon and omega p, is designed. Suppose we have another filter with passband tolerance as delta 1 prime, which is less than delta 1, which is where this delta 1 is the passband tolerance of the original filter. Now, if this new filter with the tolerance delta prime less than delta 1 can be defined using three parameters, that is n prime, epsilon prime and omega p. So now if you observe carefully, the passband edge for both of these filters is same. What is changing? The order is changing and the epsilon is changing. So our original filter had three parameters, that is n, epsilon, omega p, with a passband tolerance of delta 1. Now we changed its passband tolerance to delta 1 prime, where delta 1 prime is a smaller value compared to delta 1. So now we get another filter with a set of parameters given by n prime, epsilon prime and same passband edge omega p. Then they are asking us to figure out what are the relations between n prime and n, that is the original order of the filter and the order of the new filter, and the relation between epsilon. So epsilon of the original filter and epsilon of the modified filter. Okay, so let's try to do that. Let's first do for our epsilon. No, okay. Yeah, first let's do for our epsilon. So what do we know about our epsilon? Epsilon is less than or equal to under root of d1. This we know. And similarly, epsilon prime will be less than or equal to under root of some d1 prime. Okay, so now this d1 is given by, how is this d1 defined? This d1 is defined in terms of passband tolerance. So this is defined as 1 upon 1 minus delta 1 whole square minus 1, and this d1 prime in similar way can be defined in terms of delta 1 prime, 1 minus delta 1 prime whole square minus 1. Okay, so we have these things now, these two equations we have, and we have another information, the relation between our delta 1 prime and delta 1. So what is given to us? We are given that delta 1 prime is less than delta 1. This is given to us. Delta 1 prime is less than delta 1. Okay. So now what we want 1 minus, so instead of delta 1, here we have 1 minus delta 1. So let me multiply both sides by minus 1. So minus delta 1 prime will be greater than minus of delta 1. Now if I add 1 on both the sides, inequality will remain same. Similarly, if I square these things, the inequality will remain same. Okay, now what I want is, I want 1 over these quantities. So now again I'll have to take reciprocal. So therefore 1 upon 1 minus delta 1 prime square will be less than 1 upon 1 minus delta 1 square. Okay, and now if I subtract 1 on both the sides, what I get 1 over delta 1 prime square minus 1 is less than 1 upon 1 minus delta 1 square minus 1. Okay, but now this 1 upon 1 minus delta 1 prime whole square minus 1 is basically d1 prime. So therefore d1 prime is less than d1. Is it clear till this point? And in similar fashion, we have under root of d1 prime less than under root of d1. Now this epsilon is less than or equal to d1 and this epsilon prime is less than or equal to d1 prime. Now we are interested in the smallest value of epsilon. Okay, we want so the worst value of epsilon that we can get is d1. So let's just play with the d1 only. So therefore if my epsilon prime is equal to d1 prime, so we will get epsilon prime less than epsilon. Okay, so this is a condition that we may get. Is this condition in our options? So yeah, epsilon prime less than epsilon, epsilon prime less than epsilon, and here also. So we have now 3 options with us. Now we'll need to figure out, now we know how epsilon and epsilon prime are related. Now another thing that we need to figure out is the relation between their respective orders. So let's do that now. So the order of the smallest, or rather we'll look at the smallest order. The order of original filter is given by n as ceil of cos h inverse of under root of d2 by d1 divided by cos h inverse of omega s by omega p, and n prime is given by, or let me write it properly, the order of the new filter is given by n prime as ceil of cos h inverse under root of d2 by d1 upon cos h inverse of omega s by omega p. The denominator remains same. What is changing is our numerator. Okay. And similarly, d2 will remain same because we are not modifying our stop band tolerance. Okay. So now what we have from this equation, what we have from 1, we have d1 prime, or rather under root of d1 prime less than under root of d1. Okay, which means that under root of d1 prime by d2 is less than under root of d1 prime by d2, since d2 is a positive quantity. So this thing here, I can take its reciprocal. So therefore what we get, under root of d2 by d1 prime is greater than under root of d1, sorry, d2 by d1. So what do we get? Now if I take cos h inverse on both the sides, the inequality remains same because cos h inverse is a monotonically increasing function. So therefore cos h inverse of under root of d2 by d1 prime is greater than cos h inverse of under root of d2 by d1. Okay, we have this relation. Why? Since cos h inverse is increasing function, so inequality remains same. Now what we'll do is we'll divide both sides by omega s by omega p. So therefore we have cos h inverse under root of d2 by d1 prime is greater than cos h inverse under root of d2 by d1. This side will divide by cos h inverse of omega s by omega p divided, and right hand side also we can divide by cos h inverse of omega s by omega p. Now but the order is basically CL of these two. So therefore if I take CL, then cos h inverse under root of d2 by d1 prime upon cos h inverse of omega s by omega p is greater than CL of cos h inverse under root of d2 by d1 divided by cos h inverse omega s by omega p. If we take CL, it will give higher. If I have x and y, and if x is greater than y, then CL of x and y will, CL of x will be greater than CL of y. Can CL of x be equal to CL of y? Let's see an example. Okay, so what I'm saying is, suppose x is greater than y, we know, then can we have CL of x equal to CL of y? Let's take a simple example. So if x is, let's say, 2.15 and y is 2.01, then CL of x is also 3 and CL of y is also 3. So if x and y lie between two same integers, then their CL may be equal. Okay, so now therefore here equality is possible due to CL operation. Okay, and therefore this side here is what? This is our n prime, and this side here is our n. So what we get? Therefore n prime can be greater or equal to n. Okay, so what do we get now? So we get n prime is greater or equal to n. So this is our answer. Now let us try to understand what exactly happened. Okay, so original filter had an order of n, epsilon and omega p, and the new filter had parameters as n prime, epsilon prime and omega p. Now what we are changing the passband tolerance. We are making the passband tolerance smaller. Now if we want to make the passband tolerance smaller and smaller, we are moving closer and closer to our ideal filter. And to design an ideal filter, we want a higher order. So as soon as I reduce the passband tolerance, the order should increase. So that is what we are able to see here. But can it be equal? Yes, it can be equal because of these calculations. We saw that. So it's all about how much you're reducing reducing the passband tolerance. If we are reducing it too much, the order will increase drastically. If you reduce it very small, then it may happen that the passband tolerance doesn't change too much. The order doesn't change too much. Is this clear? Any questions at this point? If you have any questions at this point, then please ask now. After this particular question, we'll be looking at a design question. So remaining all the questions are design questions. Okay. If there are no questions, then let me move on to the next question. So now we are moving on to designing problem. So we will be in this week, we will be focusing on bandpass filter. The specific reason of taking bandpass filter is the analog transform that is involved in bandpass filter is a little bit critical. So and a little bit different compared to high pass filter. High pass filter is very simple to design. It's very small and simple transition that we do. But in band pass filter, we need to do some things extra. Okay, so let's start with the design of this question. And for designing of that band pass filter, what we are given is these following specifications. Okay, so let's start. So the aim is to design a band pass filter using the following specifications. Okay, so what is given to us? The signal is band limited to 160 kilohertz. Okay, some additional information which is not useful to design our filter. What is given to us is tolerance. Tolerance for pass band and stop band is 0.15. Okay, so pass band tolerance delta 1 and delta 2 both are given to us as 0.15. Okay, next we are given to us is sampling. We are given ideal sampling at a rate of 330 kilohertz. So this is F sampling, that is the sampling frequency, that is 330 kilohertz. Then we are given pass band edges. So pass band edge, the smaller pass band edge, that is FP1, is 85.7 kilohertz, and FP2 is 105.7 kilohertz. So let us draw it and see how it looks. So this is F in, let's say, kilohertz. Then first thing we have is FP1, which is 85.7 kilohertz, and then we are given FP2, that is 105.7 kilohertz. Okay, Then it is said that the transition band is 4 kilohertz on either side of pass band. So this region is basically our pass band. And then they are saying we have transition band of 4 kilohertz on either side. So we have a transition band of 4 kilohertz on either side. So this and this, these are transition bands. This transition bands are of 4 kilohertz. Okay, so this frequency here is my stop band edge, second one, which is 105.7 plus 4, that is 109.7 kilohertz. So what do we get? We get FS2 as 109.7 kilohertz, and in similar fashion this frequency here is our FS1, which is equal to 85.7 minus 4, that comes out to be equal to 81.7 kilohertz. So, and therefore what we get FS1 as 81.7 kilohertz. Okay, so we have all the information given to us. So now what we will do is we'll write this in the language that we understand. Okay, so let's do it. What is given to us is passband edges. First passband edge is 85.7 kilohertz. Second passband edge is 105.7 kilohertz. Then stop band edges, we have FS1, the first stop band edge, as 81.7 kilohertz. Second stop band is 109.7 kilohertz. Then we have sampling frequency, it is FSAMP. This is given to us as 330 kilohertz. And then we have tolerance, delta 1 equal to delta 2 equal to 0.15. Okay, so now what we need to do, we want to design a digital filter for the above specifications. Till this point, any questions? This preparation of specifications and what we want, what we require for our design and what is given to us. Is it okay? Okay. So if this, till this part it is clear, now let us start with our designing. So what I have done is, this entire process I have divided into small parts. So each question corresponds to one step of designing of this filter, so that it's easy for everyone to understand what is happening. Okay. So let's start. First step, find the normalized specification. So this is the step 1 for designing any digital filter. We are given analog specifications. Now first thing we need to do, we need to find the normalized specifications. That is, we need to find omega as 2 pi f by f sam using this formula. So now what we will do, we have these things here. Using these things, we'll find our normalized specification. So let's start with passband edges. So first one is FP1, which is 85.7 kilohertz, which means that omega P1 will be 2 pi FP1 by F sam, which is equal to 2 pi 85.7 kilohertz. I'll ignore writing 10 raised to 3 now because both the frequencies are in kilohertz, divided by the sampling frequency, which is 330 kilohertz. So now again we can't solve it by hands, so we'll have to use the calculators. So, and it is told us to do that we need to round off to 4 decimal places. So therefore this omega P1, if we use our calculators, we get omega P1 as 0.5194 pi. Similarly, we can find the normalized specifications for second passband edge, that is FP2, which we are given as 105.7 kilohertz, which implies that omega P2 is 2 pi FP2 divided by F sampling frequency, which is 2 pi into 105.7 kilohertz divided by 330. Again, by calculators, we get omega P2 as 0.6406 pi. So these are the normalized specifications for passband edges. Next thing we need to do, we need to repeat the same thing for stop band edges. Okay, so the first stop band edge, that is FS1, is 81.7 kilohertz, which means that omega S1 is 2 pi Fs1 by sampling frequency, which is equal to 2 pi into 81.7 kilohertz divided by 330. Therefore, omega S1 is equal to 0.4952 pi. Okay. And similarly, we have Fs2 as 109.7 kilohertz, which implies that omega S2 is equal to 2 pi Fs2 divided by F sampling frequency. So this comes out to be equal to 2 pi into 109.7 divided by 330. So therefore, omega S2 is equal to 0.6648 pi. So what did we get now? We have all the things that we need. Let me write it down at one place. We have omega P1 as 0.5194 pi. We have omega P2 as 0.6406 pi. Omega S1, that comes out to be equal to 0.4952 pi. And we have omega S2 as 0.6648 pi. So these are the specification, normalized specifications that we have got. A quick sanity check that we can do if, to check whether our calculations are okay or not is this omega S1 should be less than this omega P1. Why? This is a lower stop band edge. It lies here, somewhere here. So this omega S1 should be smaller than omega P1. Is it happening? Yes. So this omega S1 is 0.4952 pi and this omega P1 is 0.5194 pi. So this omega S1 is a smaller quantity compared to our omega P1. Similarly, this omega S2 should be higher than omega P2. Same story. Why? Because this is an upper stop band edge and this should lie further away from our second pass band edge. So this Fs2 is higher than or is greater than our Fp2, which means that omega S2 should be higher than omega P2. Is it happening? So yes, this omega S2 is higher than omega P2 because omega S2 is 0.6648 pi and omega P2 is 0.6406 pi. Is it clear? So we have these normalized specifications now. Till this point, are there any queries? I'm going slow with this question because this is an important design question. It needs patience also to solve. Okay. If there are no questions, then let me move on to the next question. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to find the non-normalized specifications using bilinear transform. Since we have that non-linearities coming due to bilinear transform, we need to undo them. In order to do that, we need to use bilinear transform. So what we need to find out, so here we will be using omega as tan of little omega by 2. Okay. So just a quick note I'll write here. This omega is different. Wait, let me write it properly. This omega is different than actual omega, which is given by 2 pi f. Okay, just a small note. So now let us do that. So first thing we'll do it for omega p1. So we have little omega p1 as 0.5194 pi, which means that this omega p1, capital omega p1, that is tan of omega p1 by 2. If we solve it again, we'll have to substitute little omega p1 inside the tan function. So when we solve it using calculators, what we get is we get 1.0629. Similarly, for omega p2, which is equal to 0.6406 pi, this omega p2, capital omega p2, is tan of little omega p2 by 2. This comes out to be equal to 1.5790. Next thing is for stop band edges. So first we'll do for the lower stop band edge, that is omega s, which is equal to 0.4952 pi, for which omega s1, capital omega s1, comes out to be equal to tan of omega s1 by 2, sorry, little omega s1 by 2, which is equal to, if we solve it using calculators, we get 0.9850. And similarly, for the upper stop band edge, which is equal to 0.6648 pi, what we get? We get capital omega s2 as tan of omega s2 by 2, which if we solve, we get 1.7204. Again, same sanity check we can do here. This omega p1 should be higher than omega s1. This omega p1 is 1.0629 and this omega s1 is 0.9850. So stop band edge, lower stop band edge should be lower than or smaller than the lower pass band edge, and that is happening. This is for a band pass filter. Similarly, this omega p2, which is 1.5790, should be smaller than this omega s2, which is 1.7204. Why? The upper pass band edge is smaller than the upper stop band edge. So these are some small tricks that we can use to just figure out if we are not making blunders. So if this omega s2 comes out to be lower than this omega p2, there is sure shot blunder in your calculations, because this can't happen. So you need to check carefully where you have made the mistake. So these small things you can keep in mind, and then use them when you are solving any questions. You can start devising your own tricks also in order to figure out whether there are any issues or some calculation mistakes in what you are doing. So these are the non-normalized specifications that we get using bilinear transform. Is it okay till this point? If you have any questions, please ask. Another thing is, try to solve this design question entirely by yourself once. If you have, if you get stuck or if you have any questions in designing this designing any filter, then you have time before your final exam. You can come back and ask me at any point of time, or at least in the summary session that will be there at the end of the course. Okay, if there are no questions, then let me move on to the next question. Okay, now the question is, this question is the next step that we need to do in our design process. So it says that the band pass filter is now transformed to a low pass filter using analog transformation. If the pass band edge of the equivalent low pass is taken to be 1, find the value of stop band edge. So what is given to us is this omega LP is set as 1. What is this omega LP? Pass band edge so this is pass band edge of equivalent low pass filter. Okay, now here in this notation, let me make this notation clear. This L here stands for the equivalent low pass filter, and this P here stands for pass band edge. Okay, so this we have. Now they are asking us to find the value of stop band edge. So stop band edge of equivalent low pass filter is omega ls, and this omega ls is given by minimum of magnitude of omega ls1 and magnitude of omega ls2. What is this omega ls and omega ls2? This omega ls and omega ls1 and omega ls2 are the analog transformed frequencies for the two stop band edges that we have. Okay, so this omega ls1 is given as omega s1 square minus omega naught square divided by omega s1 into b. And similarly, omega ls2 is omega s2 square minus omega naught square divided by omega s2 into b. And what are these omega naught and b? This b is given by so this b is the bandwidth of the filter, and bandwidth is for our pass band edge, so pass band. So therefore this b is defined as omega p2 minus omega p1, higher pass band edge minus the lower pass band edge, and this omega naught square, or rather this omega naught is the geometric mean of these two. So therefore this omega naught square is basically omega p1 into omega p. Okay, so this is how we will be finding out the stop band edge of our equivalent low pass filter. So let's go step by step now. First, let us find the things that we need. Okay. First things, if we need to figure out this omega ls1 and omega ls2, first thing that we need to figure out is this b and omega naught. So b is basically omega p2 minus omega p1. What is the value of omega p2 and omega p1? We have found out in the previous question. So this omega p2 is 1.5790 and this omega p1 is 1.0629. So here what we get, 1.5790 minus 1.0629. This comes out to be equal to 0.5161. Similarly, this omega naught square comes out to be equal to omega p1 into omega p2, which is equal to 1.5790 multiplied by 1.0629 is equal to 1.6783. Okay, so this is what we get. So now using these two things, let us first find out our omega ls1. So therefore, omega ls1 is omega s1 square minus omega naught square divided by b omega s1. So this is equal to omega s1. What is the value of omega s1? Omega s1 we have obtained as 0.9850. So what do we get? We here 0.9850 square minus omega naught square is 1.6783 whole divided by, we have bandwidth b as 0.5161 into omega s1 0.9850. So when we solve this comes out to be equal to, we'll have to use calculators again. This comes out to be equal to minus 1.3929. Is it clear? In the similar fashion, omega ls2 can be obtained as omega s2 square minus omega naught square upon b times omega s1. So this comes out to be equal to omega s2. Omega s2 is 1.7204 So this is 1.7204 square minus 1.6783 divided by 0.5161 into 1.7204, and when we solve this, this comes out to be equal to 1.4433. So we have omega ls1 and omega ls2, and this omega ls is min of magnitudes of these two. So let me add. So therefore omega ls is min of magnitude of omega ls1 comma magnitude of omega ls2, which is equal to min of omega ls1 is minus 1.3929 and omega ls2 is 1.4433. So this comes out to be equal to 1.3929. Okay, so now what we have specifications for equivalent low pass filters. So for this we have omega s omega ls. We have omega lp as 1. We have omega ls as 1.3929. Omega ls. Okay, and we have delta 1 equal to delta 2 equal to 0.15. So these are the specifications for our equivalent low pass filter. Is it clear till this point? Okay, if there are no questions, then let me move on to the next question. So the next question says that find the order of this equivalent low pass Butterworth filter. So let me be specific. Order of the equivalent low pass Butterworth filter for the given specifications. We have seen this. For a Butterworth filter, order is C log of d2 by d1 divided by 2 times log of omega ls by omega lp. Okay, so in this equation, what all things we know? We know omega ls and we know omega lp. We don't know the value of d2 and d1, but this d2 depends on delta 2 and this d1 depends on delta 1. Okay, so now first thing we will do is finding d1 and d2. So what do we get? This d1 is basically 1 upon 1 minus delta 1 whole square minus 1, which is equal to 1 upon 1 minus 0.15 square minus 1, which is equal to 1 upon 0.85 square minus 1. If we use our calculators, we get this as 0.3841. And in similar fashion, this d2 is 1 upon delta 2 square minus 1, which is equal to 1 upon 0.15 square minus 1, and this thing here comes out to be equal to 43.4444. Okay, so now we have d1 and d2. Next thing that we need to do is we substitute this d1, d2, omega ls and omega lp in this order equation. Okay, so therefore I'll just copy paste this equation on the next slide as well. Yeah, we have this. So this thing here is equal to C log of d2 is here, that is 43.4444, and d1 is here, that is 0.3841, divided by 2 times log of omega ls. Omega ls is 1.3929 and omega lp is 1. So omega ls by omega lp is simply omega ls, which is 1.3929. Okay, now if we use calculators to solve this, what we get is C of 7.1341, which is equal to 8. So the smallest integer which is greater than this 7.1341 is 8. So therefore the order of the Butterworth filter is n equal to 8. Is it clear? Any questions till this point? Okay. If there are no questions, then let me move on to the next question then. Okay. So the next question is, it has two parts. So the first part is find the range of the cutoff frequency that can be used, and second part is for find the filter transfer function. Okay. So this is the first part and this is the second part. So let us first focus on this part here. And after that, we'll focus on finding the filter transfer function. Excuse me. Okay. So let's start. So what we know, for a Butterworth filter, the cutoff frequency should lie in the following range. That is omega lp divided by d1 to the power 2n less than or equal to omega c less than or equal to omega ls upon d2 to the power 1 by 2n. So let us substitute these values now. So what do we get? Omega lp is 1 divided by 0.3841. So the d1 value which we had found out is here, that is 0.3841. to the power 1 by 2n. My n is equal to 8, so 2n is 16, less than or equal to omega c, less than or equal to omega ls. Omega ls is 1.3929. Divided by d2. This d2 we had obtained as 43.4444. Again 1 by 2n, so that is 16. So if we simplify, sorry, one second. Yeah, if we solve this using our calculators, what we get is 0.9419 should be less than or equal to omega c, should be less than or equal to 1.2658. So while designing our low pass filter, any frequency, or rather any value of omega c is valid for the equivalent low pass filter let's see in this range. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is any value of cutoff frequency omega c which is within this range is valid for the design of the equivalent low pass filter. Okay, so this was the first part. The second part of this question was find the range of the cutoff frequencies that can be, okay, this was the first part. The second part is further find the filter transfer function. Now, this is for low pass filter, first thing. And to be very precise, we need to find the filter transfer function for h of z, that is digital filter. We want to find the digital filters transfer function, to be very precise. Okay, so this involves 3 steps. To get h of z, we need following 3 steps. First one is get h analog of LP of S, which is transfer function of analog filter and of equivalent low pass filter. Then get h analog of band pass of S, which is equal to h analog of low pass of SL, with SL evaluated at S square plus omega naught square divided by ds. And the last thing is, or the last step in this is get h of z, which is h analog of band pass of S evaluated at S equal to 1 minus z inverse upon 1 plus z inverse. Is it clear? So these are the 3 steps that we need to follow. So let's start with the first step. So first thing, get h analog LP of S. So this H analog LP of S for a Butterworth filter is given by omega c to the power n divided by product of I equal to 1 to n S minus Sk's, where this Sk is given by omega c into e power j 2k plus 1 plus n by 2n pi. So this comes out to be equal to omega c into e power j 2k plus n is 8. So 8 plus 1 is 9 by 16 pi. Okay, so these are the things that we have. I'm not going to simplify this. So therefore this H analog LP of S is equal to omega c power n divided by product of I equal to 1 to n. This n is 8, 1 to 8 into S minus Sk's, that is omega c, this is k, this is also k, yeah, e power j 2k plus 9 by 16 pi. So this is the analog low pass. I am not going to simplify it further. This is what we have now. Simplifying it involves a lot of calculations. So we can keep it at this point because the order is high. If you have order as 1, 2, 3, then it is very easy to simplify. You can do it manually. But for 8, no. Okay. So now we have this equivalent low pass filter. The next thing that we need to do is we need to get its equivalent or we need to get the analog transfer function for the what do we say, band pass filter. So next step, get H analog of band pass filter of S, and this H analog band pass of S is given by H analog of equivalent low pass of SL evaluated at SL equal to S square plus omega naught square divided by Bs. So here omega naught square, we had found its value. Here omega naught square, yeah, this omega naught square is 1.6783 and B is 0.5161. So let us substitute that also, which is equal to S square plus 1.6783 divided by 0.5161 S. Okay, so let us substitute or let us replace this S here by this value. So what do we get? So therefore H analog of band pass of S is equal to omega c to the power 8 divided by product of k running from 1 to 8. Then we had S here, so we'll get S square. We'll just replace S in this equation by this quantity here, so we'll get S square plus 1.6783 divided by 0.5161 S minus this Sk, that is omega c into e power j 2k plus 9 pi by 16. Okay, if I simplify it little bit, I get 0.5161 omega cs whole to the power 8 divided by product of k running from 1 to 8 S square minus 0.5161 omega cs into e power j 2k plus 9 by 16 pi plus 1.6783. So this is H analog of band pass filter. So now we have the analog bandpass filter. The only step that is remaining with us is to figure out the order of, to figure out h of z. So this is the last step in this thing. So let us do that. So next thing is get h of z, where this h of z is basically h analog of bandpass of S evaluated at S equal to 1 minus Z inverse upon 1 plus Z inverse. So wherever you find S in this equation, you need to replace it by 1 minus Z inverse upon 1 plus Z inverse. Okay, so what do we get? Therefore, h of z is equal to, in the numerator we have 0.5161 omega c S. So this will be equal to 0.5161 omega c. Then we have S. So that will be 1 minus Z inverse upon 1 plus Z inverse whole to the power 8 divided by product of I k equal to 1 to 8. Then we have S square. So that will be 1 minus Z inverse upon 1 plus Z inverse whole square minus 0.5161 omega c into this quantity, that is e power j 2k plus 9 pi by 16 into 1 minus z inverse upon 1 plus z inverse plus 1.6783. Okay, so let me write it neatly. So this is equal to, let me write the denominator first. So this is product of k equal to 1 to 8. Then we have 1 minus z inverse, 1 minus z inverse upon 1 plus z inverse whole square minus 0.5161 omega c into e power j 2k plus 9 pi by 16 into 1 minus z inverse upon 1 plus z inverse plus 1.6783, and in the numerator we have 0.5161 omega c into 1 minus z inverse upon 1 plus z inverse whole to the power 8. Is it clear? This is the transfer function of our digital bandpass filter that we wanted to design. This is the last thing that we wanted to do in this particular question. This is a little bit complicated. The questions in this are complicated like this. They are basically lengthy, not complicated, but it's okay. If you have any questions, you ask. My suggestion is go back after this session, go back to your rooms and see what exactly we did and try to replicate the entire process without looking at the solutions. Check your answers at the end. So that will give you a confidence in design questions. Okay, so since we have time, I'll do is I'll give you a quick guide on how to design digital Butterworth filter. Okay, so I'll give you steps or a procedure or a recipe that will help you to understand how to design, or steps to design the Butterworth or let's say design the digital filter. Any filter for that matter. Okay. So in this, what will be given to us? We will be given specifications in analog domain. And what will these specifications be? Passband edge, stop band edges, tolerances, and sampling frequency. Okay, so this is what will be given to us. Okay, so now let us go ahead and figure out the specifications. The steps. So the step one, first step. Step one is find the normalized specifications using omega equal to 2 pi f by f sam. So this is the first step. Now this will lead to some pre-warping effect. Now we need to undo that effect. So next thing is step 2. Step 2 is find unnormalized or non-normalized specifications for designing analog low pass analog filter. This uses bilinear transform. That is, we have to use omega equal to tan of omega by 2. Okay, so this is the second step that we have. Now, once we have these unnormalized specifications, next what we need to do is we need to do analog transform. So step 3 is analog transform. And this step we need to ignore if we wanted to design a low pass filter, or I won't write it like this. I'll just write use this step only for band pass filter, high pass filter, and band stop filter. Okay, so only for these things. So what we need to do is, what we do in this is we set omega LP as 1. So this is pass band edge of equivalent low pass filter, and set omega LS as follows. This is stop band edge of equivalent low pass filter. So this, for high pass filter, you set omega LS as minus of omega P by omega L, and for band pass filter you set omega LS as min of omega LS1 comma magnitude of omega LS2, where this omega LSI is given by omega SI square minus omega naught square divided by B times omega SI. Now here this B is omega P2 minus omega P1, and omega naught square is omega P1 into omega P2. So this is the third step of analog transform. This is valid only if you want to design any other filter other than low pass filter. After we have this, next step is step 4. Find the order N of the equivalent low pass filter. After that, step 5 is find the cutoff frequency of the equivalent low pass filter. And once we have the order, cutoff frequency and other specifications, next we need to do is we need to construct the low pass filter or the equivalent low pass filter. So next step is construct the equivalent low pass filter. Transfer function that is H analog LP of S. Now a quick note here, this step 4, step 5, step 6, all of these 3 steps depend on the type of filter that we want to design. So if you want to design a Butterworth filter, you take these equations for the Butterworth filter. If you want to design Chebyshev filter, take the equations corresponding to the Chebyshev filter. So the step 4, 5 and 6 depend on what kind of filter you want to design. Rest all the steps are same for all others. Okay, so now once we have this analog low pass equivalent low pass filter, the next step is getting the analog filter that we wanted to design. So step 7, analog transform. So this is also valid. High pass filter, band pass filter, and band stop filter. How to design band stop filter is in next week. So I'm just writing it that it's valid for band stop filter also. The transform equations we'll see in the next week. So for high pass filter, H analog of high pass of S is given by H analog of low pass of SL, where this SL is evaluated at omega p by S. And this band pass filter, we have seen this. This is H analog of band pass of S is given by H analog of low pass of SL with SL, or rather this transfer function evaluated at SL equal to S square plus omega naught square by Bs. So now once we got the filters that we want, okay, once we got these, the last and final step, step 8 is bilinear transform. That is get hk of z. I'll tell what this k is as h analog of k of s with s as 1 minus z inverse upon 1 plus z inverse. And this k can belong from high pass, band pass, or band stop filter. Okay, so these are the 8 steps that are required to design any digital filter from scratch when we are given the specifications in analog domain. So this is like a guideline that you can follow to design your filter. You can have this as a reference and then solve your question. Is it clear? Okay, so if there are no questions, let us quickly do the remaining 2 questions that I plan to cover today in the remaining 10 minutes or 10 or 5 minutes. So let's start. So now this question 9 and question 10 are related to Chebyshev filters. So the first question is, for a Chebyshev filter, find the maximum value of epsilon. So this epsilon, okay, let me write it properly. We know that for a Chebyshev filter, this epsilon is less than or equal to under root d1. So which means that this epsilon can take any value which is less than under root d1, any non-negative value less than d1. Which means that the maximum value of epsilon is d1. Under root d1. Okay, now we have found the value of this d1 earlier. Okay, so in this particular question, we had found the value of d1. d1 came out to be equal to 0.3841. So this was question 7. So therefore, from question 7, we have d1 as 0.3841. Therefore, maximum value of epsilon is under root of 0.3841, which is equal to, if we use calculators, we can find that this comes out to be equal to 0.61975. it clear? Any questions? Okay. If there are no questions, let me move on to the next question. So this is the last question that I have planned to cover today. So it says that find the minimum possible order for the Chebyshev filter for the given specifications. Okay, so the minimum order of a Chebyshev filter is given by n greater than or equal to cos h inverse under root of d2 by d1 divided by cos h inverse omega ls by omega lp. Okay, so now from question 7, question 7, d1 is 0.3841, d2 is 43.4444. We had found this. Then this omega ls and omega lp will see. So this omega ls is 1.3929 and omega lp is 1. So from question 6, omega ls is 1.3929 and omega lp is equal to 1. So let us substitute these values in this equation. So therefore, I'll write a min here. Therefore, n minimum is C log cos h inverse under root of 43.4444 divided by 0.3841 divided by cos h inverse 1.3929 divided by 1. For this also you'll have to rely on your calculators. So this comes out to be equal to C log, the numerator comes out to be equal to 3.0551 divided by 0.8597, which comes out to be equal to C log 3.5537, which is equal to 4. So C log 3.5537 is 4. So the minimum order for a Chebyshev filter is given by 4. Now an interesting thing that if you compare the order of our Butterworth filter and this Chebyshev filter, the order for our Butterworth filter was 8. However, the order for our Chebyshev filter is 4. So in half of our order, Chebyshev filter is giving the same tolerance and same passband and stopband edges than our Butterworth filter, but for this Chebyshev filter will have ripples in the passband. So that is the cost that we are paying compared to our Butterworth filter. So that's all I wanted to cover today. If you have any questions, then feel free to ask. You can revisit this entire question uh, of designing the filter at your place. And if you have any queries, you can come back and ask me in the next session, or you can come back, or you can post it in the question and answer poll too. This is an important part of DSP. This is the actual goal of our DSP course, that is designing the filters. So be very careful while understanding these concepts. If you have any questions at any point of time, you can post it in the folder. I'll try to answer it as early as possible. Okay, if you don't have any questions, thank you for attending today's session. You are free to leave the meeting. Hope to see you all in the next session as well. Thank you.